on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So it's Friday, it's the weekend, we made it. And if we have a look, we are seeing a lot of red again across the board. So we got really excited over this pretty much right here. People were saying, is this a bull trap? Is it a breakout? Well, it looks like it potentially could have been a bull trap as we have now pulled back quite a lot. In fact, we are just hanging on to that $4,000 Bitcoin mark. I have no idea. By the time this video comes out, we could be below, we could still be above, but it's definitely struggling. The market cap has taken about a 6 to 7% hit. However, it's gone up $1 billion since this morning, if that's any consolation. Bitcoin dominance has pulled back. And if we look at the biggest gainers of the day, we have Theta token up 50%, Gold Bitcoin again up almost 33, MOAC, Centrality, Linky, Cash, Factum, Digix DAO, and then we just go into the stable coins pretty much after that. So guys, not much to be said about this. This is basically what we're looking at. This is where we are. I mean, it's basically the bottom of the bottom currently, as we speak. Now, if we continue to go any lower, we may have to relocate the whole Crypto Zombie morning show, and we're probably going to have to start doing a setup like this, a little more affordable. Okay, but seriously, guys, this was actually pretty interesting. This morning well, it's still here actually right now, you can still go. On the main page of Wikipedia, in the Did You Know section, they have, did you know that in 2018, in the 2018 cryptocurrency crash, pink Wojaks were used by traders to express their distress over losses. Yes, I do know that. All too well. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about some positive news and then get into some devil's advocate type news and then get into some coin news. And there's lots of news today, whole bunch of stuff to talk about, so stick with me, people. First, let's talk about, we were doing the live stream last night and a few people in the chat were telling me that cryptocurrency was on Jeopardy. So turns out they actually had a category, cryptocurrencies. And yeah, you can kind of see, for example, here's one example.
Let's go to cryptocurrencies for 200. An altcoin is any unit of cryptocurrency other than this original one. Chris, what is Bitcoin? Good.
Easiest $200 you could have made that day on Jeopardy, huh, guys? So that's pretty cool. I mean, cryptocurrency's on Jeopardy. A lot of people watch that, so just kind of getting it out there, right? Now, obviously, Tim Draper, for example, is a very, well, they call him a permabull, right? He's just very positive all the time, no matter what, about crypto. So we have to take it with a grain of salt, what all these guys say. I mean, obviously, looking up here, everything is quite red. Now, he was at World CryptoCon. I was also there as well. And he went on to talk about basically his reasoning for why so many people are going to put all their fiat into crypto in the future. He basically just talks about it as being cheaper to operate and it works in a more frictionless way. And because of this, he thinks that an important amount of fiat is going to move into crypto. He says, I mean, just by that alone, that it costs you less, it's going to be better for people. And so they're going to move to crypto and they're going to go away from political currency that they call fiat. Now, keep in mind, this guy is calling for a $250,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2022. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible. I just kind of want to get back to like maybe 10K again, or even just get back to 6. That would really be nice in the short term. Obviously, one of the other things we forgot to mention that happened over at Consensus, we were talking about Jeff Sprecher. He's the CEO of ICE. One of the things I forgot to mention was somebody had actually asked him, what do you think about Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin still number one? Why is it still around if apparently a lot of, these other currencies are potentially better? So, he goes on to say that it's been tough when we're recovering, and he says somehow Bitcoin has lived in a swamp and survived. There are thousands of other tokens that you could argue are better, but yet Bitcoin continues to survive, thrive, and attract attention. He also kind of talks about the Dow Jones average, industrial average. He says it's a terrible index, and while critics say it's not an accurate representation of market performance, it still remains the go-to index. So he says oftentimes in finance, it's not about being the best. It turns out that you have to basically, well, he says it turns out that whatever is the broadest and most commonly accepted, and for whatever reason, that just happens to be Bitcoin. Now, there are a fair share of naysayers, guys. Let's not just, shoot up the hopium and ride it to the moon, right? I mean, there's some stuff going on in the back. So obviously you have Jack Ma. He's saying that he doesn't really believe in Bitcoin. He says that blockchain isn't a bubble, but Bitcoin is. Interestingly enough, a lot of guys like to compare these things to tulip mania, which is basically where everybody was buying and selling tulip bulbs and the prices were just skyrocketing. But, the difference between tulip bulbs and Bitcoin is that there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever, whereas tulip bulbs, you literally can plant them and they grow again into tulips, correct? Now, you can argue this because what have these guys been doing lately? Well, they've just been forking it. So they're kind of like creating new Bitcoin, right? However, if you look at the original one, it's definitely a deflationary currency by default. Another one, you have Robert Ussery. So he had a book, Killing the King, and he says Bitcoin is frustratingly inefficient compared to its many offsprings. Transactions are slower and more costly than ever before, leaving users asking, this sucks, what's next? Well, yes, this is true. However, it's interesting that a lot of people still continue to use it, and it's still the number one. And on top of that, they are aware of this and developing things moving forward. We do have things like the Lightning Network coming out, which will solve a lot of these problems. Let's take this. You have another one that the Bitcoin fad is over. The point is that basically this one's just going on saying that Bitcoin will be replaced by something else, which I'm not saying that it won't. It could be. I mean, we could see XRP flip Bitcoin, it could happen. Why not, right? But the thing is that it hasn't happened yet. So currently, that's just the way it is. I don't know. That's just the demand. And then another one, you have David Taylor. He's saying that you see, despite Bitcoin being categorized as currency, it's not currency. There's no such thing as currency. For a currency to be legitimate, it needs to be backed by something like an asset or something with intrinsic value like gold. It must be legal tender and managed by a local authority and generally accepted as a medium for exchange among other qualities. Although interestingly enough, if we look at the 5 elements of a commodity which makes something money, which is durability, transportability, fungibility, divisibility, acceptability, and scarcity, well, it seems that Bitcoin has all of these characteristics. That was actually 6. Durability, transportability, fungibility, divisibility. Yeah, that was 6 elements, so I don't know why this guy wrote 5. Anyway, point being, that's kind of some of the negatives versus the positives. Now, if you come over here and you look at this tweet from Quantum Mental, he basically says that we need to stop looking at it in dollar value and start looking at it in Bitcoin. So his thing, he says, suppose I bought Bitcoin at 2,000, the volume is 1, right? And the value is 2,000. Suppose that I flip Bitcoin at 20,000, the volume is still 1, as only one Bitcoin has switched hands, but the value is 20,000. I sold the only Bitcoin that I own. You see, so basically what he's saying is you need to look at volume in terms of Bitcoin, and volume in Bitcoin has gone up. It's a really interesting thing. Just go through here, kind of read it. I do see what he's saying, but at the same time, people are coming in with fiat, so it still makes sense to see the value, I guess, in fiat. But I understand where he's coming from, that the volume of Bitcoin has increased, but it's also increased because it's lower price. See what I'm saying? So you kind of could just keep going around and around and around in circles. Now, I do want to talk about this very short interview with Vitalik Buterin, and he was on Smart Valor, and they basically asked him, what do you think? What do you think is really going to usher in that next wave of adoption? What do you think the crypto markets need right now? So basically, this is what he had to say.
Yes, what we see today with crypto down and ICOs down and all the gloom and doom, and people are disappointed. What do you think, what will be the events that will turn the mood and that will maybe turn the mood outside the prices and so on? What needs to happen, and well, when will it be happen? What's your prediction for 2019?
I think at this point, so like for the space to move forward, it needs more actual applications. It needs the technology that we've been striving to build for such a long time to finally get somewhere and get released. Like basically, the next wave of crypto adoption is not going to be built on hype, because the hype has basically already come. It has to come from real, useful applications and things delivering value to people.
Okay.
So as you can see, he's focused primarily on building, creating those dApps, creating those use cases. The hype is over, right? I mean, we had the hype. That was last year. Now we are focused on building. Hopefully 2019 will become that year. Now, I want to just talk about one thing real quick before we move on. I do understand that crypto has lost, well, Bitcoin specifically has lost 80% value from its all-time high. That sucks. That's crazy, right? But let's not forget that Bitcoin was also 10 cents at one point, $8, $100. It was $1,000 in the beginning of January, okay? So if it was $1,000 in the beginning of January of 2017, it's still a 4x. Now let's take a look at what you can do with $20 in 1932 versus $20 in 2018. Well, without going into the actual details, long story short, since 1932, the dollar has a 98.5% decrease in purchasing power. But it's okay when it's the dollar because it happens very slowly. It happens at about 2 to 3% annually. We don't really notice it. Nothing really seems too catastrophic, right? But in the end, bankers use inflation to steal your wealth and keep you working longer for less. Short banks buy Bitcoin. Okay, now, Tom Jessup, head of Fidelity Digital Assets. This is some good news. We're switching gears, so stay with me, guys. He has shared at the Block FS conference in New York on Thursday the company's willingness to extend their services to other major cryptocurrencies. So Fidelity is not only looking at Bitcoin, they're going to be looking at other digital assets as well. He says, I think there's a demand for at least the next 4 or 5 in rank on CoinMarketCap, so we're going to be looking at them. One of the potential issues he perceives is the question of which tokens will fall into the SEC's definition of securities. More on that later, guys, so stay tuned, as this will significantly impact the regulations surrounding their use. He says, we are waiting for that space to develop. Jessup added that there's not a huge call from institutional investors yet to venture into the lesser-known cryptocurrencies, so this is interesting. We are seeing a demand from investors for Bitcoin, but we're not seeing as much of a demand for these smaller cryptos. So Fidelity will focus on the top 7 or so, although other additions will be considered when the demand is actually there. But that is some pretty good news. Now, quickly, let's talk about what happened yesterday. So Zcash got listed on Coinbase. I mean, where did this come? This came out of left field. I'm pretty sure everyone thought that Stellar Lumens was going to be listed next, and they just pulled one over our eyes, right out of left field, whatever analogy you want to call it. And yeah, they basically listed Zcash. So the interesting thing though is Zcash actually has a privacy feature. So a lot of people were asking, like, how can this be listed, right? So basically, in a nutshell, it offers both transparent and shielded or private transaction types. So they say initially they will support deposits from either transparent or shielded addresses. They don't care where it comes from. But if you want to withdraw it from Coinbase, you have to use a transparent address. Obviously, they're just trying to comply with things. And yes, if you're in New York, we're probably not going to have this listed on Coinbase. Obviously, currently it's only on Coinbase Pro, but they will be shifting it as well. Now, this is just some interesting kind of, not conspiracy, but funny stuff somebody brought up. They said Satoshi's P2P Foundation account just became active for the first time since 2011, posted the status NOUR, and added 2 people to the friends list. Now, some people are saying it's probably been hacked. His emails have been hacked several years ago, so there's a good chance that somebody else just took over the account. However, it is interesting how the last post was January 7th, 2011, and just 9 hours ago from the time of posting, Satoshi Nakamoto has added Wagner Taminaha as a friend and posted NOUR. Weird. Very interesting. Could mean absolutely nothing. Probably does mean nothing. Also, it looks like there's another scam going around. This one is for my EtherWallet, it looks like. Basically, they talk about KYC procedure for withdrawal. You have to go to this link. No, you don't, okay? MyEtherWallet is a totally free website. They don't ever hold your funds or anything, so if you're new, just totally ignore that, guys. All right, let's get into some coin news. We got to keep this train moving. It's Friday. We got places to be. Let's talk about Tron. dApp's usage is now, it has exceeded that of Ethereum. Insane when you consider, right? So, according to data from dApp Radar, the top-ranking dApp on Tron network is Tron Bet. It currently has more users than the top-ranking Ethereum app, IDEX, which is crazy because IDEX is an actual exchange. So, it's a gambling app, okay? And they said it also managed to surpass it in terms of number of transactions in 24 hours. Well, the interesting thing is you are noticing that gambling dApps really seem to be the ones that people like. Why? I don't know. I'm not too sure, but they seem to be the ones that are really popular. So the total value of transactions made across 24 hours is also significantly larger, with the app reporting 200 million TRX, which is around $3.5 million in comparison to IDEX, which is, it has a volume of around 2,600, which is only 300,000. Wow, that's actually pretty incredible numbers. Also coming out of Tron, they also have the plans to release a blockchain-based fund focused on the gaming industry. So the new gaming fund is going to be called Tron Arcade, and it's going to be designed in order to provide developers with the ability to harness the blockchain for more features. So obviously, guys, you can see Tron is definitely moving forward, and they're also looking to expand into other industries such as charity, enterprise solutions, consumer, internet, social media, and entertainment. So they basically are just saying that they're dedicated to helping build a global decentralized internet ecosystem, ushering in Web 3.0. Also, moving on, I wanted to talk about some of the, we got some more stuff coming out of EOS. So basically, people are saying that Dan Larimer is just about to up and leave EOS because he does have a history of kind of making a project and then leaving, BitShares, and then he left, and then Steam It, and then he left, right? So he says, I will say it again, I'm not leaving EOS.io or Block One. In the process of working on EOS security and scalability, I stumbled upon a new set of trade-offs for a potential crypto token, and I have merely been exploring whether there is a market for those trade-offs. EOS is the future of blockchain, and each day our team at Block One is making it faster, more secure, more scalable, and more flexible. This hypothetical token would be immutable, non-programmable, and limited to a currency role. It would in no way compromise the much larger use case for EOS. Now, that's from his words. What's interesting is it sounds like he's trying to work on the next Bitcoin. So we'll definitely have to see how that is. What is going on with my crypto? Everything is going crazy right now on Twitter. Anyway, moving on, we also have Binance. So they revealed their first 30 coins on their new list of gold label cryptocurrencies. So obviously these are things that keep blockchain enthusiasts informed. So far the list includes names. I'm not going to go through them all, but you have ones like Tron, Ontology, Elf, Bluezell, Nulls, Gifto, Qtum, QLC, Neo, Nebulous, Quark Chain, IoTex, One Chain, a whole bunch of other ones. Nano's on there as well. Engine, Genesis, Verge, Zcoin. You guys can go see the whole list here if you want. So they've basically released that. Now, here is some interesting news. This is basically the long-awaited hammer that we've been waiting for, right? So we know that there was an issue with the Centra ICO. Now, these guys, they had raised $32 million in investors, and essentially it was a crypto debit card, credit card, debit card, whatever. But they had said that they had partnerships. I think it was with MasterCard, could have been with Visa, but I think it was with MasterCard. But anyway, long story short, turned out that the guys were basically lying, right? And so you had Floyd Mayweather, and also DJ Khaled were helping to promote this. Well, it looks like the SEC has finally charged them both for unlawfully advertising initial coin offerings. So basically, they made these guys pay fines because Mayweather was offered, he was paid $100,000 and DJ Khaled was paid $50,000. So they ended up having to pay massive amounts of fines. Mayweather paid over $600,000 in fines, and DJ Khaled paid over $150,000 in fines. And then they went on to say that investors should be skeptical of investment advice posted to social media platforms and should not make decisions based on celebrity endorsements. Social media influencers are often paid to promote stuff, and they're not investment professionals, and the securities they're touting, regardless of whether they are issued using traditional certificates or on a blockchain, could be frauds. So guys, if you are new to cryptocurrencies or if you've been around the block for a while, we know that sometimes people are paid to talk about cryptos. There's always different scandals going around the internet, right? Obviously, you have to take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. Guys, even stuff that are opinions of people, right? You never know. And the other thing is you should always disclose that you're getting paid for something, right? Because that is just illegal and you owe it to the people. Now, granted, maybe these guys didn't really know. I don't know. Maybe they didn't really understand what an ICO was. For us in crypto, we're very well aware of it. Obviously, no one was anticipating a lot of these being turned into potential securities moving forward, but it is what it is. The damage has been done, and this is just how it is moving forward. So hopefully this is going to change the space and provide a lot more transparency moving forward. If you guys are interested, this is actually the This is the actual release that came out from the official SEC website. So you guys can check that out moving forward. Now, what's interesting is, yes, okay, so we have ICO scams and stuff like that as well, but we also have the fact that people are just constantly referring to this as criminal money. Now, we know this is ridiculous because unless you're using an anonymous cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is totally traceable, right? But here's the interesting thing. So the Deutsche Bank has been raided today on the suspicion of money laundering. The German institution was stormed by 170 officials and, oddly enough, there was no Bitcoin found on the scene. Now, this has got to be like the third or fourth report of money laundering coming from banks that I've reported in just the past couple of months. So you have to really ask yourself, who's the criminals here? But these guys, you know, they'll probably, I'm sure something will get worked out. So according to the prosecutors based in Frankfurt, suspicion of money laundering at this bank dates all the way back to the 2016 Panama Papers. So it's been a 5-year investigation prompted by the Panama Papers that has uncovered evidence to suggest that the lender has been involved with setting up an offshore account for clients in various tax havens. The bank is also accused of failing to report suspicious accounts believed to have been used to receive illegally obtained cash. The investigation centers upon the British Virgin Islands branch of the Deutsche Bank. According to the reports, the prosecutors state that over 354 million was processed by the unit in 2016 alone. But guys, seriously, Bitcoin is the one that all the criminals are using. So, talking about some good news before we get on out of here, we have a Canadian jewelry brand has announced that they will accept Bitcoin in multiple stores that they have. The news first was reported by Business Wire and speaks on how the Berks Group will start accepting Bitcoin payments by working with BitPay. And for everyone asking, hey, wasn't BitPay just hit with that malicious attack the other day? Yes, they were. And they said that as long as you upgrade to the newest version, everything's cool, everything's working A-okay. So that's from them, not from me. And finally, before we go, let's talk about some adoption. So you have Intel, okay, known for its widely used computer processors, has won a patent connected to its work in the area of cryptocurrency mining. So on Tuesday, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office awarded Intel a patent outlining a processor which claims to be able to conduct energy-efficient, high-performance Bitcoin mining. Uh-oh, Bitmain. You might have some competition, specifically naming the SHA-256 algorithm. So, dedicated Bitcoin mining ASICs are used to implement multiple SHA-256 engines that may deliver a performance of thousands of hashes per second while consuming power of greater than 200 watts. Embodiments of the present disclosure employ micro-architectural optimizations, including selecting hardware, certain parameters in Bitcoin mining computation. So hardwiring these parameters would lower the number of computations required. It says estimating that such a system would reduce the amount of power needed for a chip by 15%. The resulting chip would also be smaller than those used for Bitcoin miners at present. Now, here's my 2 Satoshis on it. Yes, it will be more green and efficient, but if people start using this, then the difficulty will adjust. You see? Because if it suddenly becomes cheaper for everybody, then it'll be more productive for them, but then it'll also have a change in the mining ability. So, I mean, this is kind of the argument. It's almost like no matter what you do, yeah. Anyway, all right. Anyway, guys, that being said, it's been tough. It's been crazy, but, you know, I thought this meme was kind of funny. Day trading crypto, what my friends think I do, what my mom thinks I do, what I think I do, what society thinks I do, what I really do, which is essentially just look into a crystal ball and freaking guess, basically. That's basically what we're doing, guys. We're just guessing here. So, that being said, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to my channel. It is Friday. It is time to hang out, enjoy the weekend, spend some time with the family, see some friends, go do something. Jeez, get away. Turn this video off. Don't stop watching. Go do something else, guys. That being said, I want to say thank you so much for everybody that's been liking, subscribing, commenting, joining the Telegram chat. You guys are freaking awesome. You rock. You know I love you. So, enjoy the start of your weekend. That being said, my name is K-Dub, this is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto, and peace out.